Come on in. Come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Happy Feminine Friday. Let me send this out really quickly. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. This one is going to be, we're going to have a good conversation starting off 2026. Okay? Because we're talking about impulsivity and how it really shrinks you and what it really costs if you didn't know. So come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I hope that y'all are well. Come on in. Come on in. And put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Because today we're going to be talking about the dysregulation tax, okay? How impulsivity shrinks your net worth and your authority. So, if one of your goals was to increase your revenue, increase your income, like all that great stuff, then you might want to stick around because we're going to talk about how impulsivity is going to shrink those things. So come on in, come on in. Let me know where you're watching from, because I'm getting my travel back on in 2026. I took a bit of a break after my father passed last year, but we're coming back. We're coming back at it. So come on in, come on in, come on in. Put a 1 in the comments to let me know you can hear me, and then put a 1 in the comments to let me know where you are watching from. Y'all know I can't do no hands that ain't ashy. Today we're putting on rose oil again. So rose oil is one of my favorites. So putting that on my hands again. And I also like to sometimes put it in hair. So yeah, I just absolutely love it. Where are we from? Tumwater, Washington. Wow, I've never been to Washington. I've considered coming to Seattle, but I've never been to Washington at all. Where's everyone else from? Where you guys watching from? For those who don't know who I am, my name is L. Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist. And what I like to say is that I'm here to restore internal order, but I'll take it a little bit further and kind of explain a bit more. I help high capacity women basically build internal stability. So, and it's the internal stability that's required to be able to hold power, to hold money, to hold leadership, and to hold love without self-destructing. Because if you notice, a lot of women who tend to have these things sometimes, they have a bit of a struggle holding it. They have a bit of a struggle sustaining it. You hear some women who are married say things like, oh my God, I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like my this and I feel like that. Hear women who make a lot of money say things like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, this and this and that. Women who have certain roles that position them for power and leadership. They're like, oh my goodness, I have all this going on. It's just a lot. So I support them and being in a space to where they have that internal stability so that they can actually hold those things, because it's not good enough to just manifest a business or manifest a marriage or manifest these things. You literally have to know what it takes to be able to sustain these things. And so that's what we're going to be getting into. So the basis of my work and what I teach is I basically teach emotional and energetic sovereignty. And I do it in a world that's addicted to things like performance, right? Not really being yourself. One element of performing is being a people pleaser. Another element of performing is code switching. So I teach energetic sovereignty and emotional sovereignty in a world that is addicted to performance, dependence, and false freedom, okay? One of the false freedoms is teaching women that one area of women empowerment is to go around and sleep around. Not quite so much, because they don't tell you what comes with you actually going around and you participating in hookup culture. They don't tell you about the damaging things that go behind that. And that's why I say that's a form of a false freedom, okay? So we're going to talk today, like I said, about the dysregulation tax and why, or should I say how, impulsivity shrinks your net worth and your authority. So this looks like it shrinks your money and it shrinks your ability to be a leader, which ultimately dilutes your power, okay? And we as women are powerful beings. And the reality of this situation is this: if you want to operate in the fullness of your power, you're going to have to stop. And I do mean stop with the impulsiveness. And so I'm going to talk to you a bit about the impulsiveness. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on the root of impulsiveness. I'm going to talk about where it actually is coming from on this Feminine Friday. So, of course, you know I go live on Wisdom Wednesdays. I surprised and did a live yesterday on Thursday. And so Feminine Fridays is where I try, and I want to not try, but I would like to focus on more of the spiritual root of things. I think I'm going to reserve emotional things and money talk and different things like that, and power and other aspects probably on Wednesdays. I haven't really decided yet, but on Fridays, for sure, I'm always going to bring wisdom. That is the spiritual wisdom, the deep depths of things. And so today we're going to talk about the spiritual violation that causes you to be impulsive because you don't really understand and you're not really clear on these things, okay? So just to make sure that you guys can hear me, put a 1 in the comments for me. I have a goal today to get to, yesterday we got up there with the likes. I have a goal today to get us to 25,000 likes because I believe that this live is going to be that powerful. So if you are receiving value, when you begin to receive value while being on this live, make sure that you love the live, make sure that you share the live, because that is one way to be able to expand your aspect of abundance. And what I mean by that is this: everything is rooted and everything is not above spiritual law, because spiritual law is the ultimate program, okay? And one aspect of spiritual law is this: whatever a man sows, he shall reap, okay? So if you sow value, you're going to receive value. It also talks about how it's really important for you to be a cheerful giver. Why is it important for you to give cheerfully? Because this is something that you desire to do, not something that is forced upon you, okay? The reason why you give cheerfully, thank you, my love, for these likes, is that in order, once you give, you know that you're going to receive, which is why the whole thing about it is better to give than to receive, because if you're always giving value, you're always going to receive value. It doesn't mean that you're going to receive it in the same place that you gave value, but it's always going to be returned to you. Why? Because that is spiritual law, and spiritual law is the program. Spiritual law is the program, okay? Spiritual law is the program, which is why a lot of these people are, you know, the 1%, they understand that spiritual law is the program, which is why they use a lot of spiritual things to keep people in bondage, to oppress people. Okay, so we're going to talk heavy into that, your impulsivity, and how your impulsivity is, you know, your urge to buy something quickly, your urge to hurry up and eat this, your urge to do, you know, hurry up and get into bed and do, you know, all these different things. Like, it's rooted in one big thing, one big spiritual violation that we need to talk about today. And if you don't get a hold of it today, it is going to choke the life out of you. Do you understand? It's going to choke the life out of you. Okay, everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. Okay, I'm a nerd, so I like to dissect these things. 3 things I need you to understand before we tap heavy into this. I believe that there are 3 key things that women need to understand and know so they can thrive in this society. And when I say thrive, I do mean thrive. I don't mean survive. Okay, so number 1, you need to understand spiritual law, so that you can literally build your own and create your own reality. Welcome, Lovey. I have a lot of clients that are nurses and nurse practitioners, doctors, attorneys, therapists, CEOs, all that. So welcome. That's the first thing. You have to understand spiritual law to be able to create the reality that you desire. That is basically what the 1% did. They use spiritual law. They use secrets. They use a whole bunch of other different things that they, you know, hide in plain sight to manipulate you into believing that you have to hustle really hard, you have to work really hard to make money, you have to do all of these things in a reality that you really do not have to do, okay? So that's the first thing, understanding spiritual law, so that no spiritual law, so you can create the reality you desire. The second thing is going to be very important, and the second way that they play with you so you can be in survival mode, is because you don't understand the science of yourself as a woman. You as a woman cannot operate like a man. Okay, you have a sun clock and you have a moon clock. Men just have the sun clock, and most of the things in this society are based on a man's 24-hour clock. Okay, not your lunar clock, which is your cycle clock, which is something that's extremely important. It has to pay attention to. It's very important for you to be syncing with your cycle. It's very important for you to make sure that you are balanced. It's very important for you to understand the science of your feminine design. When you don't understand the science of your feminine design, you look to men to be women. And what I mean by that is because you don't understand the science of yourself, you cannot fathom understanding the science of the masculine. So this is why you expect him to act a certain kind of way emotionally with you. This is why you have these unrealistic standards that you guys are putting on them. You have no idea who you are, but you feel like you're going to tell him who he is. Not understanding your scientific design, not understanding the science of yourself, not understanding your own chemistry, and thinking that you have chemistry with someone else is the reason why you keep having an explosion in your love life, an explosion in your friendship life, even when it comes down to men, or just in general, because you're taking your chemical energy, which is imbalanced, and you're putting it with somebody else's and choosing from that imbalance. You don't make good decisions when you're imbalanced. So you're making decisions based on an imbalanced state, and you think you like this person, one chemical, another chemical, and boom, it's an explosion. That is why, because you don't understand the science of yourself. Understanding the science of yourself will support you in understanding the science of the masculine counterpart. Okay? Third thing that's going to be very, very important if you want to thrive in a society, okay, is you're going to have to study the generational lineage, the history that came before you, the women that came before you. Study the psychology of those women and do it without judgment. And don't piss me off by being like, oh, she did this, they did this. A man drug you through the mud, but you can give me his social security number, you can give me his trauma history, you can give me everything that has gone on with him, but you can't look at your parent, or you can't look at your grandparent, or the women that came before you with some form of grace enough for you to be able to examine the life that they have lived, to see why they may have made the mistakes that they made so that you don't repeat those mistakes. This is why a lot of you are out here chasing generational wealth when you really are here to heal the curse of low self-esteem. You're really here to heal a whole different curse, but you so busy chasing money. So you got the money and you still ain't settled. Don't even get me started. Okay? Hey, Lovey. Hey, lady of the house. And so this is something that we really need to start paying attention to. So stop judging the women that came before you and start assessing, so you can actually see the things that they endured, what they went through, consider what was going on in their generation, and take the lessons from that so that you don't repeat those lessons. Because a lot of you are continuing to repeat lessons and thinking that you are better than the people that came before you because you got money now, because you went to therapy, and you ain't doing nothing different. Your granddaddy may have been knocking your grandma head through the washer and dryer, behind the washer and dryer, and you decide that you're not going to be with that type of man, but you did choose a man who still disrespects you and dishonors you and disregards you. And both of those things are rooted in what? Low self-esteem. How about we heal that curse? Because you got the money, now what? So this is why I say, again, if you want to thrive in this society, number one, you need to understand spiritual law. Number two, you need to understand the science of the science of yourself. Number three, and you need to know the generational psychology of your ancestral lineage. And I'm speaking about the maternal aspect, okay? Because it's very important. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into today's topic, where we're going to be talking about the Dysgovernance Tax, how impulsivity shrinks your net worth and your authority, which basically means that you being impulsive is messing with your money and it's messing with your ability to be able to sustain power. And when you struggle to sustain power, guess what will happen? You will always be a victim in every experience. Powerless people are always victims. And powerless people normally don't realize that they actually have power because they're too busy trying to outsource power from others. You're trying to outsource love, which is a power source, from a narcissist, and you're wondering why the narcissist is draining you. Well, if you gave yourself self-love first, the narcissist would not even be able to stick around you, because narcissists can't be around people that actually love themselves. They can't thrive in that experience. They only thrive in experiences where people actually don't love themselves. This is why I always tell women all the time, there's no such thing as love bombing. Love bombing only works when you don't realize that you are deserving of love and that you are the bomb, which is why you are surprised when people want to do things for you. And that's why you get so enamored. Yep. You get so enamored by people showing you that you the bomb and showing you some form of love, because you don't give that to yourself. You're not really used to that. You haven't experienced anything, so you don't know how to act. It's the same thing about, the girl who grew up really, really strict. And when she went to college, she went and got buck wild. Yeah, it's the same thing. She didn't know how to act. She didn't know how to handle that level of freedom. You don't know how to handle somebody showing you that in that space. And so you took that and you ran with it. And you left yourself in the back. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and get straight to it. Again, how impulsivity shrinks your net worth and your authority. Okay, let me tell you right now that this live is not for beginners. Okay, if you are just starting out and you're looking for motivation and you're trying to build your first stream of income, or you're trying to do this, and this is not going to be your room. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Okay, I'm speaking to the women who've already made money. I'm speaking to the women who carry responsibility, who carry influence and decision-making power. I'm talking about those women that actually know that their impulses are costing them more than they are willing to admit. Because, see, they're really good at hiding it because they got a little change. You understand? They got a little change so they can hide it. Y'all, hold on. I'm going to have to go get this fan, okay? Give me 1 second because my air just cut off on me and I'm going to have to cut it back on. So give me 1 second. Let me go get this either fan or either turn this air back on because I know I'm finna start sweating because I can already feel that this is about to be real good. So give me 2 seconds. And I'm back. So let's get ready to get straight into it. Let me get my iPad. Again, I'm speaking to the women who already carry responsibility. I'm talking to the women who have influence. I'm talking to the women who have decision-making power, but they also know that their impulses are costing them way more than they are willing to admit. Okay? So let's kind of set the frame for a second. This is not a healing circle. This is not a self-care talk. This is a leadership briefing. Okay? I'm speaking to the women who know that they are great. I'm speaking to the women that know that they were called for something bigger and they are operating in that. But they also understand that their impulsive behavior is causing them issues. And it's easy to hide that when you got a little change. See, it's easy to hide that when you're extremely competent. It's easy to hide that when you're somebody, you're the smartest person in the room, okay? But I'm here to show you and to let you know, like, you ain't gonna be able to keep moving like that because you understand that sitting in one place is never healthy. It's not really supportive to you, okay? And it's time for you to really, really grow. So let's have this briefing real quick, okay? Let's first say that impulsivity is not a personality trait. Impulsivity is not a personality trait. I want to make that extremely clear, okay? It's a breakdown of self-governance. It's a breakdown in the ability of being able to govern yourself. That is what that is. Any woman who cannot govern herself will eventually lose control of her money. She will lose control of her relationships, and she will lose control of her influence. I'm going to say that again. Any woman, okay, who cannot govern herself will eventually lose control of her money. She will lose control of her relationships. She will lose control of her influence. Your influence, people will not listen to you when you are irate and all over the place. If I got on here and every time I got live and somebody got outrageous in the comments and you saw me going off on them every 5 minutes, would you really invest in working with me? And I'm teaching emotional mastery and emotional authority. Would you trust what it is that I'm telling you? Absolutely not. My influence would mean nothing because I could not govern myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, a woman who cannot govern herself will lose control of her money. She will lose control of her relationships. And it's because she loses her influence. Thank you, my love, for these likes and these gifts. If you are receiving value, make sure to like the live. We have a goal of getting to 25,000 likes. So as you are receiving value, pour value back into the experience, okay? So, like I said, if you're ready to, and let me say this, if you're ready to stop leaking power, do me a favor and type govern in the comments because you're going to have to step into a level of self-governance because your government doesn't care about you. And if you're waiting on them to show up for you, then you about to have a hard time. You about to have a hard time. Okay? So let's go ahead and get straight in. Let's talk about the violation and what's going on. Y'all know that, of course, everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. The scripture that I read is the Ethiopian Bible. I don't read King James. I have a video on YouTube where I talk about why I don't. I'm not going to get into that today. You're welcome to go over there and look for yourself. But I implore you to do your own research and to truly get an understanding as the scripture tells you to. The Ethiopian Bible has the original and all of the missing lost books within it. And I believe that you need the lost books to be able to understand the 66 books that are in the King James Version. And they took them out for a reason. And if we want to keep it real, I'll just tell you this little piece. They took it out because the other books, the lost books, the reason why they took those out, because those books taught people that they could challenge the government. Those books taught people that they could challenge their leaders. Those books taught people that leaders don't get to oppress people and change language and alter the scripture and do all of that and have they don't get to do that when you actually read the real thing. So they put those books in there specifically to be able to control you so you wouldn't question your master, because they made it to where they were your master. Read and get you an understanding. Read and get you an understanding, okay? Let it bless you. But let's go ahead and get straight into this. The scripture in the Ethiopian Bible is very, very clear on this, okay? And we can just go into Proverbs 25:28 specifically. A man without self-control is like a city without broken walls. It's like a city broken into, left without walls. Here's a water bottle, okay? Let's imagine that it's a wall, right? A city without walls is unlucky, it's undefended, and the wall is what stands in between your empire and vultures. A wall is a boundary. That thing that many women lack? A wall is a boundary. It literally stands in between you, your empire, and vultures. Do you understand? Impulsivity is spiritual exposure. Y'all want to know how these demonic men get access to you? You want to know how these demonic men, these men are nothing, they're demons, they're this, and how they get access to you? Because you're impulsive, because you have no self-control. See, the scripture tell you. See, y'all be thinking the scripture is trying to put you in a box or tell you what to do or run you. It's actually trying to protect you. The scripture is nothing but a code, sweetheart, which is why it tells you you need to tattoo it on your heart, because if you study it enough, you train yourself on it enough, you will activate the codes and be able to live out the spiritual reality that was actually designed for you, not the one that is set up by society. Not the pipeline pathway from school to prison, not the pipeline pathway from school to becoming a slave and going to school, and in a sense to where now they want to garnish everybody's check after telling everybody that they need to go to school. Now they want to come back and play this game. The reason why demonic forces and influences can get access to you is because you lack the number one thing is self-control. And self-control is a fruit of the spirit. And it literally tells you in scripture that against the fruit, there is no law. Meaning that when you are operating in self-control, when you are operating in gentleness, when you are operating in all 9 of the fruits, there is nothing that can really come against you because you are not violating any laws. That is how you stay in an abundant state, by sitting in the energy of the 9 spiritual fruits, right? But see, like I said, when you have no walls, you have no control. You have no control over self, and impulsivity is spiritual exposure. So you allow demonic activity to come into your space. You allow these type of men to come into your space because you do not have self-control. That's the first violation. So let's go ahead and get into the next aspect of this and what this is really looking like, okay? So the second thing is this. We go into Proverbs 21:5, where it says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. What I tell y'all about this year? This is the year to either set up your lineage for forward progression or to position them for poverty. Choose your door, baby. Red pill, blue pill. but you're going to have to choose. And see, women don't really like to choose. And when you don't like to choose, a choice is made for you. Thank you, my love, for these follows and these likes. Scripture does not treat haste as ambition. It actually treats haste as poverty behavior. Huh? Didn't they train y'all to chase the bag? Didn't they train us and say, we need to chase the bag, we need to chase this, we need to chase that? It's literally telling you right here that chasing something in haste like that, thank you, my love, for these likes and these gifts, and going after it so swiftly, trying to be hastily, trying to get rich quick. That's how y'all get scammed. It's poverty behavior. It's poverty behavior. Oh, I got to get this. I got to hurry up and do this. I got to hurry up and do this. It is poverty behavior. You doing that because you don't believe you're going to ever get the opportunity again. And this is why people can come on here and pimp you with fear-mongering content, fear of missing out content, and you're going to buy every time. You're going to buy every single time because you're so impulsive. You're not in control of yourself. I'm telling you what God loves. I'm telling you how society is pimping you. I'm telling you how you letting men pimp you, because it's all the same game. You just ain't paying attention. It's all the same game. And the name of the game is playing you because you lack self-control. You are easy access for demonic influence. And let me tell you something. And y'all need to stop doing this lying, talking to men like, oh, I'm celibate, I'm celibate, I'm celibate. In a way, thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes, trying to deter them from trying to test you to see if you're going to give that cat up. I want you to stop doing that, because every single time you do that, you turn around and you end up giving it up soon as you try. When you say no to a man, I'm not doing this, he's going to be like, let me see if she really not doing this. And a lot of you prove every single time that you really are doing it. So stop saying it. The thing about it is, most women who are truly celibate, I'm going to be real honest with you right now. Most women who truly are, and celibacy is a vow. I'm going to use the word abstinent. Women who are truly abstinent, they don't even tell men they abstinent. It's in their energy that you ain't finna get this without no real investment. It's in the energy that you ain't finna get none of this without no real investment. I'm telling you the truth. As somebody who has done it, I'm telling you the truth. That you don't have to say to a man that I'm abstinent, I'm this and I'm that. The more you say the more he's going to test that, the more he knows you really ain't that. Because most women try to say these things to try to convince themselves, please don't touch me. Please don't do this. I'm abstinent. I learned to never tell men, been abstaining for 3 years, and baby, and I bet you still able to go on dates and do whatever. Because I promise you, the dating life don't stop. And they still invest and they still do the things that they supposed to do, baby, without even, they know it's going to require investment. But because a lot of you lack self-control, that's how you get exposed spiritually. And then you wonder why you can't focus. You wonder why you can't get stuff done. You let any and everybody in your space because you're so impulsive. Again, I'm going to tell you what it says. I'm going to tell you what God loves. Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent literally lead surely to abundance. But everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. You come to lack. When you try to rush something, you come to lack. Okay? So this is what you need to pay attention to. Scripture does not teach, like I said, treat haste as its ambition. It treats haste as if it's poverty behavior, because it is. Why are you trying to rush me if it's that? Why are you trying to rush me into a relationship if you're really that much of a value? Let me sit back and appraise the scenario. This is what it is. This is what it is. And you're not paying attention. Your impulsivity is literally shrinking your ability to be able to make the type of money you're wanting to make more of it, to be able to really have the powerful influence, to really be able to hold the things that you are looking for. You ain't got it because you ain't got no self-control. Seriously. There's a reason I came up on your live. Thank you and thank God. All praises to the Most High. Okay? So I want you to grasp that and understand that. So the next thing I want you to grasp and I want you to understand in regard to the impulsivity that you got going on. Hold on, y'all. The impulsivity that you got going on. There's a book in the Ethiopian Bible, the book of Sirach, right? The book of Sirach says, do not go after your lust, but restrain your appetites. Okay? Let me explain something to you that you probably have never heard, but it's probably going to make so much sense to you. Appetite is your first discipline. Don't talk to me about how you going to the gym to work out. Don't talk to me about how you finna not deal with this person no more. You're addicted to food and you addicted to that clown. Huh? Let's deal with the truth. You addicted to food. You addicted to that clown. And if you think that you being disciplined is going to stop you from being addicted to the clown and addicted to the food, you are fooling yourself. It is quite foolish of you to think that, because if it was that easy to detach from what that experience, you would have done it already. You would have done it already. Appetite is your first discipline. If you can't resist food, if you can't resist spending, if you can't resist going over there and going to Pound Town because you can't resist, then you have an issue with your appetite. And let me tell you something that's real about that appetite. And I just did a TikTok on how big back activity is rooted in lust and gluttony. Lust pulls you towards the stimulation. Gluttony allows you to consume past the signal to stop. Do you understand that there is a fine line, okay, between having a healthy appetite and becoming an offender? Do you understand? There is a fine line between having a strong appetite and being an offender. And I'm telling you this as someone who used to work for Child Protective Services. I'm telling you is this from seeing the standpoint of what the spirit of lust and how it can cross and become disgusting because you can't control your appetite. See, this just ain't about food. This just ain't about you not being able to curb your sexual appetite. You got an issue internally with disciplining yourself in regard to your appetite. You don't have control of yourself. You don't have control of yourself, and that's an issue. That's an issue. Appetite is the first discipline. If you can't become disciplined with your appetite, don't talk to me about going to the gym, new year, new me. Don't talk to me about leaving a man. Don't talk to me about none of it, because you ain't really ready to deal with your addiction. And see, we like to be very judgmental when it comes down to drug addiction and alcohol addiction. Let's talk about that food addiction. Let's talk about that laying on your back addiction. Let's talk about that people-pleasing addiction. Let's talk about that low self-esteem addiction. That appetite is telling on you. Do you understand? Appetite is the first discipline. That's why it tells you in the book of Sirach 18:30. Do not go after your lust, but restrain your appetite. Okay? Appetite is the gateway to every other impulse. Never forget that. Appetite is the gateway of every other impulse. If you are in control of your appetite, you will not be as impulsive. Do you understand? To my kids, it's bigger than why you can't have another cookie. That's it. That's it. And that's crazy that's how really we should be coming to grown folks. It's bigger than why can't you have another cookie. It's bigger than why you can't have more. Do you understand? Okay? So appetite is the gateway to every other impulse. Money collapses through urgency, right? When I gotta hurt. Money collapses through urgency. Leadership collapses through emotional impulsiveness, right? And then love collapses through speed, because why are you trying to rush him to be with you? Or why is he trying to rush you to be with him? Don't go after your lust, but retrain and restrain your appetite. I'm going to say it again. The reason why, the root of your impulsivity, let's talk about it. The first element is the spiritual violation of self-control. A man without self-control is like a city broken into, left with no walls. If there are no walls to protect you from the vultures, then you will continue to be a victim. No, an element of self-control is also being able to have boundaries. Okay? The next aspect of this is going to be very, very important for you to catch again is in Proverbs 21:5, where it talks specifically about how the plans of the diligent, of course, surely lead to abundance, but everyone else who is hasty, only comes to poverty. Okay? Scripture does not treat haste as ambition. It treats it as poverty behavior. Because what are you rushing? Why are you trying to hurry up and get rich quick? It's a lack mindset that has you doing that. Okay? And again, don't go after your lust, because appetite is the first discipline. You're not going to be able to discipline yourself in any other area if you do not control your appetite in the areas where you know you are overindulging. Let's get into it. Until you deal with the areas that you are overindulging, you understand that your appetite is getting you in trouble. Don't even think about discipline. You're going to have to start with yourself. So now that we've talked about the spiritual aspect of this, let's talk about the psychobiology mechanism behind this, the science. Because y'all know I'm a nerd, so I like science. So let's talk about that aspect, okay? So let me show you specifically. You're welcome, Lovey. Let me show you specifically what scripture describes biologically, okay? Because we're talking about the psychobiology behind it. So when your nervous system is dysregulated, because you're being impulsive, this means that the amygdala, which is basically your fear center of your brain, it becomes dominant. That becomes the dominant energy that you start to move in, the fear center. Okay, here's the thing that you have to understand, or the center where fear can reside. If we are talking as people who say that they are believers, right? The fear is not the spirit of the Most High. So fear is an energy that is transferred into you, and I'll explain what I mean. If you think about a toddler who you are holding their hand and you are at the mall, right? And the toddler breaks away from you and runs in the street, and you see a car coming and you scream and you run and you're able to grab your baby, and you're in your frustration, you shake or you hit or whatever the case may be, because I've seen it happen multiple times, right? That baby did not know and had no concept of fear until you put fear into that baby when you screamed, when you picked the baby up, when you yelled, when you got frustrated and popped the baby, whatever it is that happened in an experience, it was a transfer of energy, a transfer of fear, because we are not innately born with fear. We're not. If you don't believe me, I'm telling you, when my uncle, Lord rest my uncle, when my uncle was in the 4th grade, my mom always tells the story, he thought he could be Superman. And guess what he did? No, he wasn't in 4th grade. I can't remember how old he was, but he was real young. He jumped out the window, broke almost every bone. Children have no concept. Small babies and children and toddlers have no concept of fear, of really getting hurt. They're still learning. They're still exploring. Fear is transferred into us. Okay? So when we're talking about the amygdala, I always stutter on this. We're talking about the fear center of the brain, because I don't feel like stuttering over it. That's what becomes dominant when you're in a space of impulsivity. You're operating from fear or operating from lack. So when that becomes more dominant, fear becomes the dominant energy in your body. What happens is the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for making real decisions, okay, loses control. Fear and decision making can't sit in the same body. Fear and faith can't sit in the same body. One has to take precedence over the other, okay? So when you allow the fear center to be dominant, the decision-making one is going to go in the back, okay? So what's going to happen is you go into a state of seeking dopamine. So you start seeking dopamine in the form of, I don't know, you're impulsive, you go and you buy something. You start seeking dopamine, so you start chasing somebody to be able to get some form of attention. You start thinking like that, and long-term planning begins to decrease. So you literally get into this trap because you allow yourself to become so stressed and so overwhelmed and so impulsive that you can't even think straight. This is how people crash out. People who are crashing out are not thinking straight. People who crash out are not thinking straight because their decision making has gone to the back. And what is primary is fear. Okay? Fear of being taken advantage of. Fear of, oh, you got me messed up. Just the last one. A lot of these things are rooted in childhood issues that are grown because you have not taken care of them. You have not dealt with them. And because of that, you find yourself in a state where you're emotionally impulsive, you spend too much, you do all of these things. And I'm going to tell you something, because the women that I tend to work with, most of you think that you're fine because you got a full bank account. I get it. I understand. You think you're fine because you have a full bank account, but the truth of the matter is you're not thriving at all. You're actually over functioning. You're not fooling nobody. You are using your high IQ. You are using your intelligence, your intellect to compensate for your low self-governance. I don't care how much money you make. If you can't hold a boundary, don't talk to me about what you do. See, and this will be pissing me off when women try to come work with me and they want to try to have these conversations with me and tell me about all they've done. When you come to me and I start telling you what is necessary to be done, and you want to tell me about all the things you've done. What you doing here, baby? Your intelligence and your intellect is no good here in this experience. It's no good here in this experience at all. Y'all, I'm not taking no co-hosts, never. So please, with that. Your intelligence is not necessary right here. I need you to be real in this space. See, this is why I explain I really enjoy working. One population, I love all of my clients. One population I enjoy working with is women who have been working in the adult industry. SMEX workers, right. My clients range from doctors, CEOs of companies, SMEX workers, attorneys, therapists, all that great stuff. They're some of my favorites to work with. You know why? Because they already come in the gate telling the truth. They come in the gate saying, you know what, I've been using my body to get money and I'm tired of doing that. I've been performing for a check and I don't really want to do that no more. And I feel like you are the woman who can support me in rerouting back to what is real, to activate, and expand my own gifts, because I don't want to do this anymore. It's the ones who come to me with the PhDs and the doctorates and the MDs and the DNPs and JDs and all these things that want to tell me about what they've done. But they don't want to speak on the fact that they've been code switching to get a check. They don't want to talk about the fact that they've been people pleasing, paying everybody bills because they have allowed people to trick them into being the one. They don't want to talk about the fact that they pay to keep people in relationship with them, and then they try to figure out why people don't want to stick and stay. See, we don't want to address the truth of what's going on. We want to just pretend like everything is fine. No, that's not the way this works. You're going to have to deal with the real of who you are if you want to get the truth of your results, because most of you think that you are fine. Like I said, you're using your high IQ to compensate for low governance, the fact that you don't really take care of yourself. Yeah, you go to spas. Yeah, you go on vacations. Yeah, you got a Peloton. Yeah, you're doing all this stuff. Yeah, it looks wonderful from the outside, but you are not fooling anybody, because I know you're not sleeping. Let's talk about it. I know you're not sleeping. And because you're not sleeping, that lets me know that your cortisol levels are high. And you're trying to figure out why you can't lose weight coming from someone who used to be 100 pounds heavier. It's because you're not getting sleep. I understand that you're doing all that workout. I understand that you're working out, but the weight ain't coming off. Guess what? There is such a thing that needs to happen with a woman if you really want to grow muscle, if you want to have fat loss. Guess what has to happen? You have to have rest and recovery. And guess when muscles are rebuilding? When you're resting and when you're recovering, but you don't sleep, which is why your body holds weight. I used to be 100 pounds heavier. Top 3 results that my clients get when they come to work with me. Number 1, they make more money. Okay, because we open the portals of that. Number 2, they get healthier. The highest amount of weight my client has lost has been, one of them is 90. The other one, the lowest has been 30. You understand? The 3rd result that my clients get when they come to work with me is they have better relationships with the masculine. Husbands pay me so their wives can come work with them. Women pay me to have better relationships and understand power dynamics because they are sitting at the top and they need to work with other men and they need to understand how to leverage their feminine energy and stop working like men. And so the third result is that they have better relationships with the masculine and they're able to create healthy community within the feminine, because y'all love to abandon feminine community when y'all get a man like y'all crazy. And then you want to make the man your everything. And when he becomes burdened down, he wants to leave. You want to be mad. Can we stop doing that? Okay? Can we stop doing that? So like I said, a lot of you are using your IQ, your very high IQ. Thank you, my love, for these likes and these follows to compensate for your low governance. Y'all, we almost at our goal of 25,000 likes. Keep on coming. I appreciate you. You're running, and a lot of these women are running a Ferrari engine with a leaking fuel tank. Okay? Imagine where you would be, okay, if you didn't have to spend 30% of your energy cleaning up after your own impulses. Because see, then you go spend all this and do all of this and act like this and be impulsive like this, and you feel shame after. Do you understand that that is a part of the self-destructive method that the enemy wants you to be in a state of shame, so you disregard yourself, so you feel terrible about yourself? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these follows and these likes. That's the whole plan. The plan is for you to become your own enemy and steal your own joy, kill your own confidence so that you can self-destruct. It literally tells you that in John 10:10. That's if you don't choose the route of abundance, which is actually your birthright. But do whatever it is you feel like you want to do, baby. Thank you so much for these gifts and these likes. According to neuroscientist Dr. Amy Arston, who is at Yale School of Medicine, she states that acute stress impairs the prefrontal cortex and shifts control to survival circuits, which puts you in survival mode. A lot of you are walking around in survival mode, and you got money now. I'm trying to understand what happened. Why? That's because you haven't released the old identities that you created in order to survive. You still feel like you still need to live like that. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, but you don't. You don't. If I were to pick up, I have water, but I don't have a glass. But if I were to take this and pour out a little bit, okay? This would be literally your discernment leaving the room. So how the water goes down, like if I was pouring, that's how your discernment leaves the room the moment you get triggered. Because you automatically go into default. When you get triggered, you go back to childhood, whether you realize it or not. Why do you think when you start yelling and going off and crying, what is that, baby? And it's a tantrum. It's a tantrum. It's the inability to be able to control your emotional responses. It is a tantrum. Beloved, it's an adult tantrum. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Okay? When discernment leaves the room, your IQ literally drops. That's what Dr. Amy said. Hey, don't. Dr. Amy Arston, Yale School of Medicine. What she said was, when you get triggered, your IQ drops. You stop thinking. You are making decisions with a reduced capacity, with half of your brain, basically. That's what happens. That's why the Most High tells you, the Most High is not giving you the spirit of fear. Because if you make decisions in the spirit of fear or desperation, you're going to cause yourself some serious issues. You're going to do this to yourself. Okay? So let's talk about the consequences that end up coming from this. Okay? Because we talked and went into the spiritual aspect of it and how it's a violation. And we talked about the psychobiology aspect of it. Let's talk about the consequences that you may be experiencing because of that. Okay? Thank you so much for these likes. We're almost at our goal of 25,000. Keep it going. I appreciate you. So this is how impulsivity shows up in high capacity women. Number one, emotional spending. Number one, emotional spending. I'm going to say it again. Number one, emotional spending. Spending money burning a hole in your pocket, in your pocketbook. Number two, rushed exits. Okay? Trying to hurry up. Trying to hurry up and get to the deadline. Trying to hurry up and make him your man. Trying to hurry up and do this. Trying to hurry up and do that. My God, today. Hurting your own feelings. Number three, reactive dating. As a feminine woman, you should respond in dating. You shouldn't react. Most reactions leave you unsettled. That's the best way I could say that. unsettled. It also looks like impulsive investments. Y'all just be, this how y'all be getting scammed. That's how y'all be getting scammed. Because you impulsively invest. Somebody say one thing to you and you and your feelings like, oh my God, yes. And then you spending all your money. Y'all be cracking jokes about people like the elderly who get scammed, you know what I'm saying? Or how people get scammed by, in certain scenarios. And like, how you paying this lady a psychic? Like a lot of people, I watched this video of Sylvia. I forgot her last name. Baby, in the 90s, Sylvia was supposed to be this psychic. And y'all, the video is not funny, but it's funny because I don't know if it's Sylvia's fault or if it's the people's fault. But these people was asking Sylvia questions, and it was absolutely insane, the stuff that Sylvia was saying. One lady was up there talking about, thank you, my love, for these gifts. Girl, you saw it. Girl, Sylvia was telling them folks all kind of stuff. Baby, that's her name, Sylvia Brown. Baby, Sylvia was the psychic that came on it. I remember one lady asked her a question about a man who died. She didn't even get to finish. Sylvia said, yeah, he drowned. Sylvia said this man drowned, and the lady said, Sylvia said he's in water. The lady was like, but he died on September 11th. He was a firefighter. She's like, he's in water. And like people would come and be asking Sylvia all these questions, and people would be like, and I'm sitting there like, is it Sylvia or is it the people? Like, what's going on? But what it was, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's the same reason that people go to psychics and different stuff like that. I used to watch it up at school, had me rolling. Baby, if y'all go look up Sylvia Brown and Montel Williams, that video will come up on TikTok and you will be crying, laughing for your life. But I'm going to tell you how and why Sylvia was so popular and how she kept being able to come on and do this all the time. The reason why she was able to do this is because she knew that people were desperate and impulsive to get answers to things that they were trying to figure out. Literally, there were people coming saying, one lady even said, and it was bananas to me, but one lady even said to Sylvia, she was like, my son is about to meet his father for the first time. Is that about to go well? Before the lady even got done, no. Like, I'm like, what? The lady was like, then another lady was like, I didn't get to meet my father, Before that lady even got to finish, Sylvia said, you didn't want to meet him. When I tell you the impulsivity and the desperation that people will have that will cause them to invest in things that are not even real, it needs to be studied. It needs to be, I'm not kidding. That is how y'all keep getting scammed. I'm not lying. It's your desperation and it's your impulsivity that is causing you to be scammed because you're not thinking. Because like, what Amy? Let me go back. I ain't gonna call this lady Amy. According to neuroscientist Dr. Amy Arsney, I'm gonna have to go back to it again. Acute stress impairs prefrontal cortex. It impairs your ability to critically think, and it shifts control to survival mode. That lady who was up there asking about her daddy, she just wanted her daddy. She is these are grown. I'm talking about these are grown, able adults asking Sylvia these questions. I swear to you. And people was breaking down, crying, even when the answers were not making sense. Do you hear me? People were breaking down, crying, even though the answers were not making sense because they were just seeking something, anything. Again, let's go back to it. This is how impulsivity shows up in high capacity women: emotional spending, rushed exits, reactive dating, impulsive investments. Let me tell you, she used to be, turn off, thank you. Somebody said, and she used to be so matter of fact with no emotion. Exactly. You know why people kept coming back to Sylvia too? Because Sylvia was confident. And I had shared the post on my Facebook and I was like, y'all, I just am floored. And I remember somebody saying in the comments, well, you know what they say? If you act like you're supposed to be there, people are not going to question you and they're going to believe you're supposed to be there. These people believed exactly what Sylvia was saying. I'm talking about the questions kept coming in. I'm sitting there looking at it as an adult like, What the how? But I understand desperation and impulsivity will have you out here looking for things and looking crazy because it blocks your ability to be able to think clearly, to make clear decisions. Do you think these people in their right mind would have been going to Sylvia Brown asking her questions when it's clear that she just running this off the top of her head? And I'm so for real. I just told you what the neuroscientist said. For real, the minute your discernment leaves the room, your IQ drops. And your decision making is coming from half of your brain. That's why you don't let nobody make you quick decisions. You don't tell, you don't even this even goes down to when you're going to buy cars and buy things. You don't let people rush you into signing stuff. Fear of missing out marketing is one of those things that I don't do. Because here's the thing, if it's a line for you to work with me, it's a line for you to work with me. I ain't finna tell you it's a fear for you to be missing out. That's a game that they play to get your money. I don't need your money. The Most High gonna pay me. If you're in alignment and that income is gonna come from you, then cool. But if it's not, okay, I'm still gonna get mine because according to the law of sowing and reaping, I sow value on a daily. I sow value online. I sow value to a homeless person. I sow value to a child. I'm never gonna be missing out. Do you understand? So because I have that understanding, I'm never missing out. I never need to play that game with y'all, buy my stuff, or you're going to miss out. Either if it's something I'm getting rid of, you can get it or it's about to be gone. That's just point blank period. Ain't no gimmick, ain't no game. Okay? Because I don't believe in having people impulsively buy things. Y'all hold y'all questions for me. I got you. I'm almost done. And I'm going to answer them. I don't believe in forcing people to buy things. I believe in aligned purchases. I believe in aligned living. Okay? So, y'all hold them for me. Hold them questions for me. I promise I got y'all. Here's the next way that it shows up in high capacity women. Business pivots without counsel. Y'all will change your whole business model because you didn't make money in these 2 weeks or you didn't make money this month. So you want to change everything to look like somebody else when the formula has been working for you for a while. It may be one thing that you need to pay attention to because you plateaued. But no, you want to change things. And then you don't want to talk to nobody about it until you done messed everything up. That's that impulsivity. Starting over instead of scaling. Oh, y'all got to do this. No, you need to scale. You don't need to start another business. You need to scale this business. Okay? I have 2 therapists and never got this clear. A lot of women who come to work with me, and I'm not saying this is no type of brag, no type of flex or nothing, but women have fired their therapists after coming to work with me because they've gotten more work. Therapy support can only support you to a certain extent. My work allows you to get to the bottom of it, what I like to call the bottom of the map. It supports you in getting to the root issue, because if you don't pluck the root, you're still going to deal with the issue. So for me, it is my responsibility to make sure that you get to the root. That's why I always say, you may pay your money to come into this experience, but what I'm looking for you to pay is with your time, your energy, and your attention so you get the results that you're looking for. I am results driven. I'm not interested in holding your hand. I'm not interested in, pacifying you or coddling you. I'm interested in you living the life that you tell me that you want. And I'm holding you accountable to what you tell me, because you can't just tell me you want to do something, baby. Because I'll make you know you can fly. I get results over here. I leave everything better, from relationships to friendships, and everybody will tell you this. I don't play that. So this is why, for me, a lot of women, they come to work with me, we get to the bottom of it. And when you have awareness, then you can have compassion for yourself. Then you can accept where you are. Then you can truly care for yourself. And that's where the implementation of care comes in. And when you start caring for yourself and you start seeing the results of caring for yourself, it elevates your self-value, your self-worth, and your self-respect. And guess what? When you stop playing with you, can't nobody play with you. When you stop playing about you, you'll find that nobody can play with or play about you or even play you, because nobody can play you without your permission, participation, or the fact that you simply are not paying attention. Nobody. There are always signs. That's why I won't be going for that. Oh, I don't know. He was a brand. He was a whole nother person. Let me tell you something. Don't open your mouth to me and tell me that you got played by a man and you call yourself a believer. Because the first thing I'm going to ask you is this. Did you ask the Most High about this individual? Because according to the book of James, if you ask the Most High for any aspect of wisdom, the Most High is going to give it to you. So did you ask about this individual before you hopped into bed with him? Huh? Did you ask the Most High about this individual when you got that weird feeling in your gut? No, you thought you was tripping. You asked your homegirl, and she told you was tripping because she can't, she ain't been on a date in 12 years, so she's hoping that somebody would take on a date. So she said, girl, well, at least he took you and he did this. She's positioning you to settle because she's settled. And because you don't know yourself, you're listening to your homegirl who settles. And you will settle for something that will end up playing you. This is how y'all position yourselves to be victims because you don't listen. Okay? So look at the math right now. Let's just get back into it. Let's look at the math of your life right now, real quick. The impulsive cost is high turnover. It is reactive hires. The governed gain when you are governing yourself is loyal, high-level support. The impulsive cost is cortisol spikes. And cortisol is your stress hormone. And cortisol plays a big role in you being balanced. And it plays a big role with your menstrual cycle. See, a lot of y'all let these men play with y'all so much to where you mess up your own womb. You mess up your own womb. You really need to start doing the education on the connection between relationships and your womb health. Okay? Because it's really one. The impulse cost is your cortisol spikes. The governed gain is sustained performance, is you being able to show up consistently the way you were supposed to show up. Let's talk about how this hits in scripture for a second. Proverbs 19:2 says, desire without knowledge is not good. Ooh, desire without knowledge is not good. How many of y'all desire marriage? How many of y'all out here desiring marriage without having the knowledge of what it really looks like and what it really takes to be a wife, but you out here desiring something? See, you're desiring the idea of something that was presented to you that you have no idea about because you think it's all about love. Because you are still wrapped in the fallacy of Disney and you don't understand the programming and the pimping that they've done to women to get you to buy into romanticism when it comes down to capitalism. You're not seeing that pipeline, so you don't really understand what wifehood looks like. So you judge women who are really wives, who are in the position where it's getting worse for them, and they choose to stay in it because I swear they made a vow for better, for worse. Y'all talk so bad about Keisha K.R. when she decided to stay with Gucci after she found out that he had all these mental issues. Y'all talk so bad about her, but y'all claim y'all want to be wives, though. Hope you never get with somebody who have a breakdown. Hope you never get with somebody who have a nervous breakdown, baby, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what life going to bring you. Sometimes people leave your life and people are not the same. You understand? Some people can't handle their mama dying. You don't know, but you want to be a wife. Girl, don't piss me off. That's what I be saying. Like, desire without knowledge is not good. Whoever makes haste, his feet misses his way. Speed is not intuition, baby. Speed is often fear. Trying to run somebody to the altar. Trying to run somebody to the bed. You should be, listen, stop playing yourself. Stop playing yourself now. It's tired. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and likes. It's tired. Aren't you tired? Aren't you exhausted? Really look at this for a second. Desire without knowledge is not good. Y'all want six-figure businesses but don't have the knowledge and don't know what it takes. You're trying to hurry up and get there and speed your way there by taking a get rich. I want you to tap the screen for me if you've ever restarted a project, right? That you know that you should have just really taken advantage of and done everything you need to because of an impulse. Okay? I want to talk about the cost a little bit more of the Dysgovernance Tax, the inability to govern yourself because you're so impulsive, okay? High capacity women don't crash loudly. We talked about this yesterday. They tend to stall quietly. They sit. See, when you're a woman who's achieved a lot, and you're like, boom, 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 get all this stuff done. Hi, lovey, same to you. You get all this stuff, used to getting all this done. And then all of a sudden you hit a period of stalling and you can't move. That's very uncomfortable for a woman who has high capacity because she's used to achieving things. She's used to performing. She's used to getting things done. So to stall is a huge insult to her. Now, you may not be able to see it, but it's definitely going to be felt. You don't lose everything. You lose momentum. You keep rebuilding instead of actually compounding. And this happens to a lot of women. Once they hit their first 6 figures, they start working even harder. And you shouldn't be working harder. You should be working smarter. Once you hit your first 6 figures, it should be systems after that. If your presence is required for everything, you are not valued because you are infrastructure. And infrastructure is barely protected. Nobody, let me tell you something. When you look at a house, nobody is going in there and saying, oh my God, let's protect the infrastructure, the foundation. You assume that the foundation is already laid when you bought the house, right? Right? So there's no need for you to go in and check on the infrastructure, because the infrastructure should already be done. It should be there. Nobody checks on the infrastructure, and the infrastructure is always present. And a lot of you are infrastructure, which is why people don't check on you. This is very rare, unless something is completely broken down with the infrastructure, that people actually check on the infrastructure. They don't do that. And this is what you have to pay attention to. The cost of operating without internal walls, okay, in lower levels of life, I talked about it. The cost is labor. You have to work harder. When you don't have boundaries, you feel like you need to work. The reason why you continue to chase this individual, or you continue to chase this thing, or chase that, or go after it relentlessly and with no boundaries and all of that, is because you have no boundaries. It's because you have no boundaries. Because if you had boundaries, truly, if you had boundaries, you wouldn't have to work so hard. I'm fighting for my relationship. Okay. Why do you have to fight to be in a relationship? It's either working or it's not working. It either aligns or it doesn't align. Why are we not telling that truth instead of fighting for it? You working too hard for something because you have no boundaries. You have no protection from the vultures. You're always a victim in the experience. The cost in lower levels of life is always going to be labor, your labor. In higher levels, the cost is discipline. And what is the first element of discipline? Appetite. Appetite. The work that I'm talking about is not for women who are addicted to chaos. I'm going to just be honest. It's not for you. You like the chaos. You like the drama. Have at it. It's not going to really work out in your favor. I wouldn't continue to go like that. But hey, do whatever you want to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do, baby. I'm just here to deliver the message. Okay? It's not for women who romanticize intensity, but then claim they want intimacy. This is not for women who mistake emotion for intuition, because a lot of you do that as well. This is for women who want internal authority, women who want emotional command, women who want financial protection, women who want leadership stability. If that's not you, this ain't going to be for you. If it is you, this is why I built emotional foundations. Not to heal you, but to govern you, baby. To help you govern yourself. The nervous system discipline. This is nervous system discipline. Emotional foundations. This is emotional restraint. Emotional foundations. This is internal order. Emotional foundations. This is the rebuilding of your walls that should have been there in the first place. Emotional foundations. Okay? This is where impulse is trained. This is where appetite is restrained. This is where discernment replaces urgency in emotional foundations. Okay? Once internal order is restored, then we reprogram the identity. And we do that in the pattern interruption lab. Okay? We interrupt behavioral loops, trauma responses, money sabotage, relationship templates. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. Okay? Foundations stabilizes. The pattern interruption labs rewires the operating system. A woman without self-control is a city without walls. Okay? And a woman with walls is a woman that controls her life. So let's talk about a little bit about the difference between emotional foundations and the pattern interruption lab in regard to what this looks like. If you come into emotional foundations, which is a 6-module course, and you get it for $333 with client affirm and afterpay, I want you to think when it comes down to emotional foundations that this is the infrastructure of governance for you. Think of it as the floor of your life. Okay, that's what it's going to teach you. It's going to help you set your floor down. How many of you, put a 1 in the comments if you understand the importance of having a floor in your house. Put a 1 in the comments if you understand the importance of having a floor in your house. This is a temple. You need a floor in your temple. Emotional foundation is going to support you in building that floor for your temple. So this is what it's going to do. Number 1, the stabilized baseline. You move from high functioning anxiety to regulated state, okay, where pressure no longer causes a leak in judgment, okay? This is your stabilized baseline. This means you ain't coming out of your, this means you're not coming out of discernment. This means you're not coming out of these things. These means you are sitting in this right here so you can make the right decisions. The second thing that you're going to get in emotional foundations is the command of appetite. What did I say? Appetite is the first discipline. You understand? It's the first thing that has to be disciplined. Some people have an appetite for violence. See what I'm saying? Your appetite has to be disciplined. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Command of the appetite looks like you regain control over impulsive spending, reactive communication, the urgency that literally leads to poverty decisions. Did you hear what I said? What I tell y'all? This is the year to set up your lineage for forward progression or to set them up for poverty. I don't care what you do. It's your life and it's your lineage, but you're responsible for it, especially if you sat on this live and listen to me. Don't get up there in the Most High plate, run this back to you. How you was sitting on live listening to me and you ain't do nothing. You're responsible for what you know. Let's get into the third aspect of this. Emotional foundations is going to support you with the rebuilt walls. You establish internal boundaries that protect your time, protect your money, protect your energy from outside intruders. Guess what happens then? You're less likely to become a victim in life experiences because you protect your time, you protect your money, you protect your energy from outside intruders. If you are a woman, you have 5 sacred currencies. You have more than that, but let me just let you know. You are time, energy, attention, money, and beauty. When you lack walls, you position yourself to become ugly. I'm not even being funny when I say that. I'm being so for real. Because what happens is your time is drained, your energy is drained, your attention is drained, your money is drained, and you can't even get you can't even get yourself together because you're literally drained. I've seen women come out of relationships skin looking great. I'm a makeup artist. I was a makeup artist for years. I've seen women come out of relationships and look dead. I have worked at MAC for several years back in the G. And I had a booming bridal business. I know when a woman is in a relationship that's draining her because I can see it in her face. I don't care how much makeup you put on. I can see it in your face. And most importantly, I'm a reader of the eyes. And the eyes always tell a story, baby. They never lie. Never. So you're not fooling the seers. Do you understand? You may be fooling the fools around you that ain't even paying attention. But you ain't fooling the people who can see. Okay? You're also going to get the exit from burnout in emotional foundations. You stop the sprint and crash cycle. Okay? You learn to carry weight without collapsing. Foundations doesn't change what you do. It changes the stability of the woman doing it. I'm going to say it again. Foundations doesn't change what you do, baby. Because it's not about what you do. As a woman, it's about who you are. It's about your being. So foundations doesn't change what you do. It changes the stability of the woman doing it. Okay? Now, that's foundations, emotional foundation. Click the link in the bio to get access today. You can get it for $333 with client affirm and afterpay. All right? It is an audio-based course. Okay? Why is it an audio-based course? Because I'm teaching you how to rewire your nervous system for safety. I'm teaching you how to reset your entire baseline because your nervous system is the program. So that is why it is audio-based, because if you are listening to me, that means that you are not watching me. Because watching me is not going to help you. You're just going to be sitting in another class. Thank you, Lovey. Like you're sitting in another class taking notes. And don't even piss me off, because I know you got a bunch of notebooks over there full of notes, probably full of notes of stuff that I said, and you still ain't did nothing. That's why I say I don't care nothing about nobody getting on here talking about something. Oh, I've done this. I've changed. You changed my life. There's no way I can change your life if you have not got into a real space with me. Hi, Lovey. If you have not gotten behind closed doors with me, if you have not sat in a masterclass with me, if you have not sat in courses with me, if you're not sat in programs with me, your life is not changed. You're enlightened. You're a little bit more enlightened. And you need to recognize that. But awareness means nothing if you're not taking any action. So I don't care nothing about that. I care about you getting the results that you're supposed to have. And emotional foundations, like I said, it does not change what you do. It changes the stability of the woman doing it. And a lot of you are unstable emotionally, internally, and you are out here thinking that you're going to continue to keep doing that. Y'all are running on fumes, and 2026 is going to expose you. Because like I said the other day when I did that live, 2026 is not forgiving the woman who's dysregulated. A lot of you live in the States, and the States don't care about us. They not finna let up with all the things that you're seeing, all the things that are causing you to be an emotional wreck, to be in a fear-mongering state. They're not letting up. The problem is, and honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real honest with you. And they shouldn't let up, because that's a part of their agenda. It's a part of their agenda to do exactly what it is that they're doing. The part that pisses me off about women, that women don't tap into, is the fact that you're supposed to be stable enough and discerning enough to know the truth from a lie. But no, you won't even sit in your body long enough. You won't reset your emotional baseline. You won't do the things you need to do so you can operate and create from soul. You just let them keep draining your soul. You just let them keep draining your soul. But that's your life, baby. You live it however you feel like you want to live. But it's not going to stop. Inflation going to keep going up. You're going to still need to go get money. And if you're too unstable to focus, what money you finna get? Child, don't even get me started. Anyway, emotional foundations, go ahead and get that, baby. 333, you can get a recliner, affirming afterpay. Let's talk about the pattern interruption lab and the outcome here. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. The pattern interruption lab, the outcome is the intelligence of real-time choice. That is what you're going to get. So think about it like this. Think about it as the wiring of your identity. So what you're going to get in the pattern recognition lab, it was supposed to start on the 8th. And I realized, so for those who don't know, my father passed away last year, right? In August of last year. And so a little bit after that, I kind of hopped into working into the Muse Activator and doing that. I am spacing out my time to make sure that I am fully ready and that my grief is where it needs to be. So I pushed back the January 8th date of the pattern interruption lab starting to January I can't even think. January the 29th is going to be the start date. So I pushed that back to make sure that I am where I need to be. Because again, I don't even get out there and be working. If I need a little bit more time, then I'm going to do that for me, because I'm not going to show up in a space for you halfway. That's inappropriate. It's not ethical. And I don't need your money that bad. And it's not because I'm rich. It's simply because I know the Most High always supplies all of my needs. So I am obedient to what is necessary and what is supposed to be done. So the pattern interruption lab is going to be starting on the 29th, okay? And like I said, these are the things that you're going to experience. These are going to be the outcomes. So number one, we're going to end the blind spot. See, a lot of you think that you have a blind spot. We're going to end the blind spot. You're going to move from reflecting on mistakes after they happen to seeing the mechanism as it is occurring right then and there. As quick as y'all able to say, oh my God, that person do one thing, like, oh my God, they're a narcissist. Y'all were about the wrong thing. You need to be able to assess and be like, you know what? I'm seeing the mechanism in front of me. Me and this person don't align. And let me go ahead and pull myself from this experience before this is detrimental to me. That is what you will be able to do. You will end the blind spot. There is no such thing as nobody played you. You will always know what time it is. I am really good at what I do, okay? The second thing is this. You're going to experience real-time interruption. This looks like you gain physical ability to pause at the moment of default. The moment of default is the minute you're triggered, if you don't have something in that 60-second window that's going to shift you, you're going to default back to your natural pattern. So if it's your natural pattern to go off on somebody because that's what you saw growing up and that has just been your experience in life, then as soon as somebody does something, you're going to go off on them. But if you have something in between there, a process, a real-time interruption, a window, then you can make a different decision. A lot of you don't have a window, don't know how to create a window, don't know what that looks like, and you're going to know if you're in the pattern interruption lab, okay? That moment of default, that split second before you overfunction, before you withdraw, before you self-sabotage, I'm going to support you in having something there so you stop. You interrupt the actual pattern, okay? The third thing that's going to happen is we're going to deconstruct all of these loops you keep repeating. You keep sitting on these timelines and keep repeating these timelines because you have not learned the lesson. So what we're going to do is identify, okay? Identify the core pattern that you keep repeating, the one that has costed you the most money and the most peace in the last 10 years. This is the one that we're going to be focused on, okay? We're going to deconstruct that loop so we don't keep going through that, okay? Girl, you need to be in a pattern interruption lab, ma'am. The fourth thing that you're going to get is the decision point. This is where you gain clarity. This is where you see exactly, okay, where you need stabilization, okay? Or if you need deeper identity work to be able to continue when in regard to hold the new response. Because you'll have it, but you'll need to hold it. So basically, the pattern interruption lab doesn't just give you insight, it gives you full-fledged exposure. It makes your old self-sabotage impossible to ignore and impossible to continue to go on. So if you feel like your life is a mess of reactions and you're constantly exhausted, then you need foundations to build your house floor. If you are successful, but you keep hitting a glass ceiling, money or whatever of your own making, doing the same self-sabotaging experiences with your habits and different things like that over and over and over again, then you need the pattern interruption lab to expose the loop. In order to break the pattern, you must expose the loop. You must become clearly aware of the loop so that you can cut it, okay? Foundations builds walls. The pattern interruption lab is going to show you who's tearing them down from the inside, okay? And it tells you in scripture, boy, about a woman that tear down her own house from the inside. Horrible. Do you hear me? There is no middle ground here. You are either a woman who governs her internal state, or you are a woman who is a slave to her external environment. That's it. If you stay where you are 12 months from now, you will have, you might have a little money. You might have a little more money because you're working so hard, but you ain't going to have no peace. And let me tell you something. In a world that is going haywire right now, the most valuable thing that you can have is your peace. So if you're done leaking power through impulse, click the link in the bio and get access to Emotional Foundations. That's your entry point. If you are ready to reprogram your identity patterns that shaped your life, that you keep repeating, then the pattern interruption lab is going to be your ascension, okay? The pattern interruption lab is a 28-day experience. It's 4 weeks. You can get it for $888. You can click the link in the bio to get access to that. Yes, you can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. Yes, it will be starting on the 29th. It is going to be absolutely, absolutely, absolutely amazing. I'm excited about it because most people lose their momentum towards the end of January. This is where we're going to get you straight because first quarter is going to determine how your last quarter is going to be, okay? What questions do you guys have for me? Drop those questions in the comments for me. That's all I have for you today. Click the link in the bio to get access to the Emotional Foundations course to build your walls. And if you're ready for real exposure in real time so that you can really close the loop, then Pattern Interruption Lab is going to be that girl for you. And for a lot of people ask like about the Pattern Interruption Lab, you'll have access to me because we're going to have calls every week. We're going to have calls every week, and then we have a Telegram group that we're going to be talking in, okay? Daily, weekly. So you have me right then and there. Your best bet, if you're trying to work with me, is going to be coming into the Pattern Interruption Lab. If you get the Emotional Foundations course and you email me, of course I'm going to email you back, but there's no one-on-one. You don't need me in that experience. You need to reprogram and rewire your nervous system. but I am there to support you. But you don't need me. In that exposure, that pattern interruption lab, you need me, baby. Because you need eyes on you that's going to tell you the truth. That's gonna speak the truth to you in love. You know what I'm saying? That's going to support you in elevating where you need to be. Okay. Yes, I'm definitely going to jump in it. My year starts 4/4 and I'm getting in the lab. Girl, yes, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Can you elaborate more on your spirit experience with your dad's passing and the wisdom you have now? All I have from that experience is the lessons that my father taught me. My father taught me how not to waste time. My father taught me how to be self-sufficient. My father taught me how to thrive in his absence. And because of that, I can hold my head high. Because of that, I can walk around and not break down because my daddy was my first friend. Because of that, I can smile instead of cry. So I look at the lessons and the things that he's given me that I can utilize in my present to create the future that he would not only be supportive of, but he would be extremely proud of. So that is one aspect of how I govern myself in that space. I thank the Most High for helping me to understand these things. I'm grateful. Will I have audio if I get the pattern interruption lab? No, you won't get audio because you'll be in there with me. You'll get audio in the Telegram group. So you'll get some audio there, but you won't get that. If you need the emotional foundations, then get emotional foundations. Because if you don't have a floor coming into the pattern interruption lab, gone, okay? Because it's a 28-day tactical event. Like, it's not no, oh, we just chilling and we talking. Like, I have a 0 vent policy in there. Like, you can't trauma dump in the pattern interruption lab. That's not what that's for. And we also, the word because is banned in the pattern recognition lab. You can't say, I did this because. No, ma'am. I did this. See, we coming out of these excuses. We coming out of the excuses and the different things are holding you back. We're not telling the truth. Okay? 0 venting. I don't do that. And I'm like that in real life. My friends know. We got a problem. Okay, let's talk about it. We got a problem. We're going to keep talking about it. We're not going to talk about it more than 3 times with me. We're not going to have 3 conversations about the same man. We ain't going to do it. You're going to have to make some decisions and choices. Because you ain't finna be on my phone talking about how you getting disrespected and dishonor, baby. I be ready to square up. I love my friends. I love my folks. So you ain't finna tell me somebody mistreating you and you want me to sit around and just be looking like this. Why, if you ain't going nowhere, be quiet. Don't involve me. Don't call me. If you ain't going nowhere, don't call me. And my folks know it. They only call me when they want solutions. They only call me when they want the truth. They don't call me to vent. I ain't the vent friend. Now, you can tell me something. We can assess it. But vent, you can't call me and talk about somebody else because the first thing come out of my mouth is you called and told her. Because, see, confrontation doesn't bother me. We can talk about it. We can have direct, what's tea? I have no problem. So I don't do the middleman. I don't do any of that. You can't come and vent to me. What we doing about it? How's it getting fixed? This is why I don't do excuses with men. I just like, no, I'm not having it. She said, say you're a fire sign without saying you're a fire sign. Right. Girl, because listen, I'm not going to be able. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the excuses. What are we doing about this? Okay. So yeah, any other questions? So you suggest the audio? Yes, I suggest the pattern recognition. I mean the emotional foundations before coming into the lab. If you have no floor, I absolutely, definitely agree with that. Do you believe women are experiencing ADHD or possibly misaligned? I was born in December, early December. Do you believe women are experiencing ADHD or possibly some misalignment? So I won't say misaligned. I won't say that. I'm not going to say that. ADHD is a condition that literally requires a diagnosis, right? I think that there are things that, I love it. I think that there are things that need to be considered before we automatically go into ADHD. Like, I'm not a fan of quick diagnoses without assessing what exactly is happening in the experience. So before we accept the ADHD diagnosis, what is the diet hitting for? What is the blood work saying? You understand? Do we have all the minerals and everything and vitamins and things that we're supposed to have in our bodies? Okay. So I need the floor. I need the base. See, everything goes back to the baseline. I need the baseline. I need the baseline on your labs. I need the baseline on what your diet is. I need the baseline on activities. I need the baseline on these things before I can say that this is definitely going to be this. That's number one. So that's the first thing with me. So I can't even say that. What I can say is that if there is misalignment in those areas, then of course there's going to be some physical things that come with that. So for me, I can't necessarily say that it's misalignment, and I also can't speak too much on the ADHD aspect of it without understanding and knowing the baseline of who I am dealing with. And I suggest that for anyone, before you accept any form of anything, at least know your baseline. At least know your baseline. Hi, Lovey. So it's very, very important. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions? Because today we've talked about how impulsivity literally shrinks your money and it shrinks your influence and your authority. Okay? Once you wake up, once you wake up, what can you do with the shame and regret from the weak version of yourself? So there is a process that I used to teach real heavy. It's the 6 steps of to self-love. And there are 4, and before we can even get to self-love, because that's a whole nother element, we have to get to the element of self-care. Okay? So in order for you not to beat yourself up or shame yourself for the things that you were not aware of, or your value that you were not aware of before, you came into the fullness of yourself, the first thing that you have to practice is self-awareness. So we have to admit, of course, the things that we have, I'll praise this. Thank you, love. The things that we have allowed ourselves to experience. We have to first become aware of those things. When we become aware of those things, of course, they hurt our feelings. Because like, dang, how did I let myself go through that? Dang, how did I let myself get treated like that? Dang, da-da-da-da-da, right? So you have to then have self-compassion. So first there's self-awareness, then there's self-compassion. Okay? I'm going to come back to you now. You give me 1 second. Self-compassion. Okay? Once you have self-compassion, and what I mean by self-compassion is this means that you treat yourself like you're 5 years old. I want you to see yourself in your mind as a 5-year-old, right? Your 5-year-old self got on a bike and fell off a bike and scraped her knee in her pretty dress. Would you go and yell at that 5-year-old for falling off that bike and scraping her knee in that pretty dress? Put the answer in the comments for me. Would you see a 5-year-old who was on a bike in her pretty dress and she fell off the bike and she scraped her knee? Exactly, we wouldn't. You need to treat yourself with the same level of compassion of that 5-year-old girl. Exactly, bingo. No, you would comfort her. Bingo, there we go. There we go. You would comfort the little girl that didn't know that she was going to fall in her pretty dress while on that bike. Because in her mind, she was just a pretty girl who wanted to ride her bike, who happened to fall. So you're going to clean her wound. You're going to put medicine on it. You might even kiss her little boo-boo, right? Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. And you're going to send her on her way, and you're going to give her a helmet and some knee pads. And you say, when you get on your bike, these are the things that you're going to need for your next ride. And she's going to be so excited. All the tears and everything going to be gone. So there has to be self-awareness. There has to be self-compassion. And then there has to be self-acceptance. Now that we have realized that we have wounded ourselves. Hi, Lovey. Happy Feminine Friday. Now that we realize that we needed to have compassion for ourselves and we have compassion for ourselves, now we accept the fact that we let ourselves be in that scenario due to our ignorance at the time about ourselves, about our value. And so what you do after you've accepted the fullness of your light and your dark of your reality and of your life, then you do the most revolutionary thing ever. You start practicing self-care like no ever. Like you never did before. Hi, my lovey. And self-care is the key fundamental of every single relationship, because self-care is the key fundamental of every single relationship, because it teaches other people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. And if you are treating yourself exceptionally well, they have no choice but to do the same or get out of your way. That is how you come out of the energy of shame, by bringing it into the light. See, shame resides in darkness, which is why it is a low vibrational state. It is low to apathy, because when you are in a state of shame and apathy, this is when the enemy starts to play with your mind and want you to unalive yourself, because you ain't got nothing to live for, because you what? Shame. But in order for you to shift from the energy of shame, you have to jump into the energy of courage, which is a high vibrational state. It is the first high vibrational state in the scale. And when you jump into courage, you're not that far from love. You're not that far from peace. You're not that far from joy. And those things are spiritual fruits. And what you create from those high vibrational states will sustain. You understand? So that is how you come out of the energy of shame. I love how you talk about self-care from an internal perspective and not a superficial. Oh yeah, no, never. When I first came out in business, I was a self-care strategist. And I always told women that real self-care penetrates the skin. It's not this crap that they selling y'all. And I was saying that in 2020. So thank you for noticing that. Somebody else asked another question. Let me see. Someone asked, how do you set boundaries around acute stress? We have to identify what the stress is. We have to identify what the stress is, first and foremost. We have to identify what the stress is. We have to identify the environments that keep us stressed, the people that keep us stressed, and we have to make a decision to choose self-preservation over people-pleasing and over the opinions of others. People don't stick to their boundaries because they're concerned about the perception of how the other person is going to see them, or they're afraid of losing something or something like that. There is no such thing as lack in the kingdom. I live in abundance, so I can relate. When you live in the mindset of your birthright, which is abundance, according to John 10:10, it says the Messiah has come to give you life and give you life abundantly. But the other half of that says that you can become your own energy, your own enemy. The enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. What is the enemy stealing? Stealing your joy. Not setting boundaries with someone who are in an environment that is stressing you out is what? Stealing your joy. And the more you participate in that experience, you become your own enemy. So you are now a willing participant in stealing your own joy. And when you become a willing participant in stealing your own joy, it eventually kills your confidence, because you have nothing to look forward to. And when the confidence is killed so much to where it breaks the spirit, then you begin to engage and indulge in self-destructive behaviors. This is why it says the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay? Because if you do not choose the abundant path for your life, which is your actual birthright, you will become your own enemy and participate in experiences that steal your joy, kill your confidence until you self-destruct, which is a plan of the enemy, a plan of the eye. Thank you, my love, for these gifts. Oh, y'all, we got past 25,000 too. We are 40,000. Thank y'all. So that is how you're able to do it. You have to choose you. What is more important, people pleasing or prioritizing yourself? What is more important, your spiritual, mental, emotional health, or the feelings of this individual? Choose, and choose now. Because if you don't set boundaries, you allow people to drain your time, your energy, your attention, and your money, and your beauty will pay the price. Your beauty will pay the price. Stress ages you. See, all these things come back. All these things, everything cycles and circles. You're just not paying attention. Okay? So, any other questions before I get out of here? Make sure y'all click the link in the bio to get access to Emotional Foundations for $333. And if you want to come into the Pattern Interruption Lab, you can get access to that for $888. You can get it with client affirm and afterpay. Somebody was asking me something I felt like about let me go back and check real quick about I want to do the lab, but I realize I have to hear the audio first. How long is it? And will I make it in time for the lab? If you like, you can. Now, what you can do, if you get emotional foundations and you want to come into the lab, you can come into the lab and you can be working both, because the way the Pattern Interruption Lab is going to work, we're going to meet once a week. So you'll have more time to go through the foundations and go through everything as you're going through the lab. You're just going to get everything at once and you get access to me. So you definitely can do that. You can be able to make it. You can be able, excuse me, sorry. You do have the opportunity to be able to do both. It all depends on your capacity. But you definitely can do both. The emotional foundations is not a rush. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things like you can listen to it while you're cooking. You can listen to it while you're driving. You can listen to it while you're working out. And as long as you're completing the workbooks and the worksheets that's going with it, you can be rocking with that and doing the lab if that's what you desire. You definitely can do that, okay? And then you have access to me. So if you run into any issues while you're doing foundations and you're in the lab, then I'll answer your questions about the lab too. So if you come in on that space, I got you. Don't even trip. And I think that's the biggest thing. People want more access to come and actually work with me, and the lab is the best way for you to be able to do that. Okay. Let me make sure I miss no more questions. I'm only doing one lab, because I have to focus on, I'm only doing one lab. So if you don't get in now, I can't tell you when I'm gonna run another one, because I have the Self-Assured Woman program that's 6 months for high capacity women in leadership. And then I also have the Muse Activator, which starts back up in May and June. And then I also have that in December. So I have a couple of different things. The lab is an intensive, so it's a great start. The reason why I'm running the lab up front in the first of the year is so you have a strong year. You ain't gonna be able to come in the middle and just come into the lab. That's not really how that can work, okay? Nervous system freeze or delayed responses when it comes to boundaries because of trauma. What about it? I'm not sure I understand your question. Nervous system freeze or delayed responses when it comes to boundaries. You have to give me I'm not sure what you're asking. So if you could tell me what you're asking, then I can give you what you're looking for. Congratulations to those who have tapped in, who've come on into the Emotional Foundations, and those of you who will be coming and joining me in the lab on the 29th. And the 29th, y'all know I talk about my best friend that passed away too. It's crazy because the 31st is my friend that passed away birthday. The one that actually sparked my spiritual awakening. Oh my God, it's been almost 9 years. Sheesh, yeah, it's almost been 9 years. Oh my God, that time has really flown by. Sheesh, yikes. So yeah, starting it around that time is also very special to me too, because for those of you who know, my spiritual awakening happened after my best friend passed away, and it's like everything just opened up. So yeah, what other questions do you guys have for me, if any, before I get off of here? Drop those questions in the comments for me. This is going to go up on YouTube. You can click the link in the bio to get access to my YouTube channel. You can click the link in the bio to sign up for my Substack. Yesterday, I dropped a Substack article about the 100K ceiling. So if you are struggling to get past the 100K mark, I'm giving you some real good juice on correcting that and coming into the lab. And in foundations, how foundations can support you in your baseline with that. Freezing around setting boundaries because they were never respected by caregivers and toxic family. Again, you have to reset your baseline. You're going to need emotional foundations. You need to reset your baseline because you're not comfortable choosing you. You're not comfortable choosing you over your family. And this is coming from somebody whose boundaries weren't really respected by my mom. Love my mama down, but my mom is strict, overbearing. You know what I'm saying? When I was growing up, she was like, she ain't play, okay? And sometimes even growing into adulthood, she struggled to respect boundaries. But at the end of the day, I stuck with them. People are not going to like when you set boundaries with them, specifically family. They're not going to like when you set boundaries with them, but eventually they have to respect them. So either you're going to make a decision to put yourself first and respect your self first, or you're going to continue to coddle yourself and freeze yourself for the sake of the feelings of somebody else or what you believe that you're going to lose. Okay? People who value you are not willing to lose you. They may be stubborn a little bit when you make some shifts and some changes. But if they really value you, they're not willing to lose you in that experience, right? So it's very important that you preserve yourself, especially with what's going on in the world. Because everybody in your family, I'm sure, is grown. And grown people know how to do their own thing and do what's necessary for them. And you need to do that for yourself. Prioritize yourself over what they're going to think and feel about you making a decision to put yourself first. Yes, they're going to talk about you. Yes, they're going to try to guilt trip you. Yes, all of this. But still, choose you. Okay? What do you think about impulsive starving? I tend not to eat impulsively. Impulsive starving, give me an example. Is it situational? Like something is happening and then you just decide like, I'm not finna eat? I'm not really clear. Because if something happened, is it something that happens that takes your appetite away? Is there, because there are some people who external stimuli can potentially cause them to not eat, to impulsively starve. I know some people, if you try to have a hard conversation with them and it frustrates them, they won't eat. My brother's like that. So sometimes it's situational where if it's stress, then that's what happens. You're so focused on the stress that you're not focused on yourself to where you can't even, signals are not communicating when it comes down to your appetite. Focus, wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. Wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy. So if your energy is on stress, of course you'll forget to eat. Of course you'll forget to do this. You forget to do that because you're so focused on whatever the goal is and whatever it is that you're trying to do. So you're not going to eat because the focus, the attention is here. So the energy is going here. And so what happens is when you have exhausted all of the energy, all the capacity that you have, then you remember, oh my God, I didn't eat. It's when your stomach start growling. It's when something in that space does that, okay? So it's very, very important. Like malnutrition has become a problem for me. We're gonna have to correct that, my love. We gotta eat. We gotta eat. And even when it comes, as somebody who used to be 100 pounds heavier and somebody who spent all last year strength training and like building my body and different things like that, one of the things that I can tell you is that you have to eat a lot of food. You can eat a lot of crap, but you have to eat a lot of food in order to be healthy. And I don't know what your age is, but as you age, being malnutrition is not going to be good for you. I am 42. So when you get to my age and you get in your 40s, you lose protein and you lose muscle mass. So you don't really have the opportunity to not be building muscle because you got to think about it. When you, Lord willing, Lord spare your life, you get to 70 and you fall and you don't have no muscle, you break your hip. And this is the downfall of most people when they fall. Most people get messed up when they fall. I had been lifting and doing strength training and I sprained my ankle really bad in the shower because I felt like, it was so bad. I was finna get on a flight and go to Miami. And if I had not been building the muscle and doing the things that I had been doing, that would have been a whole lot worse. Recovery would have been horrible. But I had sprained it really, really bad. Okay? But I had what was necessary to be able to protect myself. I had the proper muscle. When you hurt yourself and you got muscle, you heal faster. It's so many things that happen, but when you don't have these things to protect you, you're in trouble. So you're going to have to get on some type of program, baby. And you got to stop allowing external stimuli to steal your appetite. You are in control of your appetite. Stop allowing external stimuli to steal from you, to siphon your energy, to siphon your focus so much to where you neglect yourself. I want you to hear what I'm saying. We're allowing external stimuli to siphon our energy and our focus to the point to where we are neglecting ourselves. Can I do that? Okay. All right, y'all. I'm not seeing any other questions. Make sure you click the link in the bio to get access to these things. You can only get so much from our lives. You will get great information. It's going to be wonderful, but y'all are not lacking in information. What you are lacking is implementation and doing the work. So I hope to see you. Okay. I hope to see you. She was a neuroscientist. I hope to see you in the pattern interruption lab. I hope to see you on the other side of emotional foundations, because you need to be in there, booze. Dr. Amy Arnston from Yale School of Medicine. That's her name. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gone. Happy Feminine Friday. Lord willing, I will see y'all next Wednesday, because I only go live over here on Wednesdays and Fridays for high capacity women leaders. You're welcome, Lovey. Make sure that you tune into the next episode of the podcast on Substack, the Emotional Wealth Lab. I'm really excited about the Emotional Wealth Lab. I drop episodes every Monday, and I just dropped my first episode, and it already has 189 downloads, which is crazy bananas to me, because I was not expecting that. So I'm really, really excited. As of yesterday, it was 189 downloads. It is on Apple. It is on Spotify. It is on Substack. So yeah, go and you check it out. The Emotional Wealth Lab by L. Antoinette. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing weekend, day. Peace, y'all.